Question number 11. Kelvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister for Primary Industries. Why were bag limits for recreational fishers reduced when the Ministry for Primary Industries has ignored thousands of tonnes of fish being dumped by the commercial sector for years?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Mr Speaker, I'm presuming the member is asking specifically about Snapper 1 because his question is slightly confusing. It's not correct to imply that dumping was the cause of the decrease in the recreational bag limit to do with Snapper 1. As the member should be aware, the total allowable catch of snapper actually increased by 500 tonnes, and this was all allocated to recreational fishers. However, given growth in local population, this meant a small decrease in the daily bag limit. I also refute the member's assertion that MPI has ignored thousands of tonnes of fish being dumped. The Heron report clearly shows that MPI made a flawed decision not to prosecute in the case of Achilles, but that in general it has a robust process and professional staff who conduct around 300 prosecutions every year.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kelvin Davis.
Why then did his officials say in 2013 that, quote, the fact that we have known about these dumping issues for many years and would have appear to have done little to combat it would be very difficult to explain and unpleasant at best, unquote?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Mr Speaker, I transgressed over this point several times yesterday. Over this point yesterday in the House.
Order.
And the important point is that...
Order. The answer.
The important point to the answer to the question.
Order. The question's been asked and answers to be given, and substantially, if I've got to start asking people to give final warnings and naming people I can, but the level of interjection is just too high, particularly from my left, but not only from my left. The Honourable Nathan Guy to answer the question.
Mr Speaker, what I meant to say was I traversed the answer to the questions in the House yesterday around this topic, and what I said, Mr Speaker, is since the QMS has been in, successive governments and officials have been grappling with the dumping issue, and there's no evidence that dumping has been a determination in reducing recreational bag limits, because 96% of our stocks of known value are at or above sustainability levels.
Supplementary question, Kelvin Davis.
Under his ministerial leadership, who is more likely to be prosecuted? A recreational fisher who grabs one undersized snapper, or a commercial boat that dumps thousands of fish?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
We take it very seriously to do with any issues of reporting, to do with anything that comes to light to do with dumping or discarding or recreational fishers not adhering to their bag limits. We have about 300 prosecutions a year across recreational, customary and commercial. Also, we do about 3,000 infringements a year and about 1,000 vessel inspections. We take this very seriously, but unfortunately, with Operation Achilles, as the QC Heron report says, it was a flawed decision, and I regret that MPI didn't follow through on a prosecution.
Supplementary question, Kelvin Davis.
Given that answer, can he confirm commercial fishers who dump thousands of fish make up less than 1% of all prosecutions, compared to recreational fishers who make up more than 50%?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
It's a little bit hard to get into those numbers, because what the member needs to take into account is there's a large volume of recreational fishers. I think about 600,000 or so. There could be 7,000 recreational fishers in the Hauraki on any one day versus about 1,200 vessels fishing in the commercial sector. What we have done is doubled the numbers of observers so that we have more transparency in what's happening in the commercial fleet. We've also rolled out cameras electronic reporting and vessel monitoring systems in the Snapper 1 area, which is hugely important for recreational, customary and commercial fishers.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kelvin Davis.
If his ministry had actually prosecuted commercial fishermen for illegal fish dumping, how many millions more fish would be available for recreational fishermen?
The Honourable Nathan Guy.
I've already answered that question in part by saying that there's no evidence that dumping has been a determination in reducing recreational bag limits. But what I have told the House over the last couple of days is MFish and MPI have been grappling with this issue to do with dumping and discarding for a long period of time. It's not only New Zealand that's been grappling with it, other countries around the world have been grappling with it. I'm determined to get on the top of this particular issue to do with rolling out electronic monitoring, making the changes that need to be made through the operational review, the future of fishing, and come into the House and change the law. Because it's hugely important that mum and dad and the kids can go out and catch a fish, and we protect this precious resource for everyone to enjoy in the future.
Supplementary.
No, the Labor number of subs have been used up today. Question number 12, Clayton Mitchell.
Mr. Speaker.